I remember that workout in kind of a good detail. Ben, I think we both hit like low 450s on the last mile. Aiden hit like 433 or something like that. Definitely like 439. That was the workout where I really started to believe that we had a good shot.
Welcome to a Run on Culture podcast, featuring local runners and coaches helping us define a culture of success. Stay competitive by joining us at the Henderson Virtual 3200. You can register for free online at runsignup.com/Henderson32. Okay, we'd like to welcome Holden Betz and Ben Datte from Downingtown West High School to the podcast. How are you feeling today?
Pretty good.
Did we get out and get a run in?
Yeah, I did I did one of our workouts we just did. I also mowed the lawn, which kind of sucked, but.
What about you, Ben?
I didn't get a run in today. I took the optional day off today.
There you go. You need to rest. Rest is part of the equation, right? How are you holding up with the social distancing and not being around your team? How does that look for you in regards to kind of affecting your training?
Oh, it's rough. I've been running solo ever since the start of quarantine now. Everywhere I run around here is also hills.
I feel that.
Yeah, I don't get anything flat around here.
Ben, now you'll be attending Appalachian next year, so you need to get used to the hills, right?
Not going to get any flatter, so.
Holden, what's running during the COVID-19 social distancing pandemic look like for you?
Basically the same as Ben. Everywhere I live is a hill. Like our neighborhood is at the top of the crests of 4 different hills. So everywhere I go, I get like 1,000 feet of elevation, and running on my own just kind of feels good right now.
You're enjoying running on your own?
Surprisingly, yeah.
Do you listen to music? Are you listening to podcasts? Are you just listening to the sounds of nature? What's your go-to?
I do listen to music every now and then, but usually I'm just out there vibing with nature. What
about you, Ben?
Yeah, I don't listen to anything on the run. I vibe.
All right, well, let's get into talking a little bit. Downingtown West 2019 PIAA AAA state champions this year. And you were both very important members of that team, kind of back and forth, number 3, number 4 runner. And we'll get to that story in just a little bit. Let's start out first, though, just talking about how the team got there. Why don't we start with Ben, and why don't you walk us through maybe what the summer program leading up to cross country looks like?
So we'd have our Monday long runs. Those were pretty good. We knocked out some good long runs. The 4 of us would have a pretty tight long run group there.
When you say the 4 of us, who are we talking about?
Myself, Aiden, Declan, and Holden. Well, we really train together all week, but we have like the strong long run day, and then usually something easy on Tuesday, another workout Wednesday and Saturday.
Over the summer, we meet in a lot of different locations. We kind of travel around, and we run on a bunch of different surfaces. Is there a location that you enjoy running at the most?
I love trail running. So anytime we do like trails, like mountain bike trails or stuff, I love those days. I mean, I like all the locations we meet at. Besides maybe like the track can be a little bit more boring sometimes, but
yeah,
all the trails we go to, I like all of them.
And Holden, maybe you can describe what do our long runs? How do you think our long runs might differ from other teams?
Well, there was one run over the summer that I remember, one long run, one Marsh Creek Monday that I thought like really made the summer for us. It was one of those days where you challenged us to go under 6:30 for as long as we could. And basically as soon as we hit Struble, we started going like 5:56 flat because we were getting carried along. We felt great. I know Ben was there, and I know Ben remembers exactly what happened on that run.
Got annoyed clipping his heels.
Yeah. And I think like long runs are kind of special for us. We have a respect for what long runs can do to us physically, but we also want to put in the most that we can to ensure that we get better at the end of the week.
Would you say the long run is kind of like the anchor of our week?
Oh yeah, for sure. When we're training for cross country, the long run is definitely the anchor of the week. It's the anchor of our training, I would think.
And do you think that's different than some other schools?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah. Like I was watching a mile split workout Wednesday with Ryan Oosting at his school from a couple of years ago, and they had really light mileage weeks. Like I think he said 30 to 40 miles a week, and their long runs couldn't have been much longer than, 8 miles mathematically.
And it's not the only way to be successful, right? We know that there's a lot of paths to success, but our program probably built on that long run, built on more of a strength-based program. Do you think, Ben, you've been a varsity runner now for 4 years. You were part of the varsity squad each year that you've been at Downingtown. Do you think that that program was suited for all of the runners on our team?
Well, it's pretty well suited for most of the guys on the team. I mean, you're not going to, we have all different types of runners, and you're not going to be able to get a program that suits everyone perfectly. But I think it definitely suits the majority of the guys.
How about like a Jack Capello or a Sims? Those guys who were really key players in the run to states. They were on a little bit of a slightly different program. Do you want to maybe describe that a little bit?
Yeah, Jack Capello is actually exactly who I had in mind there. I know he tends to do a little bit less mileage, more like intensity type stuff. I'm not entirely sure like what his plan was.
Wow, ruthless.
So maybe Holden, try to walk us through, if you can remember back to maybe some of the summertime workouts. Maybe you don't remember the specifics, but just the style or types of workouts that you were doing over the summer.
I remember Ben largely, we put an emphasis on hills this summer. We wanted to do a lot of workouts on hills. Like I remember doing a lot of really hard workouts on Wednesday at Timbertop, and I still own the Strava PR for the second hill from one of those workouts. But we did a lot of stuff based on strength, building strength through hills and through non-flat, non-trail surfaces to try to prepare us for courses like Hershey and beyond.
When do you remember the first real specific, like kind of 5K pace workout? When do you, in your mind, did we really start those style of workouts?
I don't really. I'm not sure. I remember one before like July. We didn't come out of the gates and go right into 5K pace. I think we tried to build up a base beforehand. I'm not entirely sure though.
What if I told you it wasn't until September?
Yeah. I mean, I was partially right.
Would that surprise you?
No.
So
we focus on that base.
Yeah, we definitely do. Ben, one of the places that we went to during the school year to really hone our cross-country skills and work out was Star Farm. Could you maybe describe Star Farm? Tell everybody what that's all about.
So basically, it's like a big grass field, and it's got a 1K grass loop around it with like a decently sized hill in the middle there. So it's really nice for like our cross country workouts and stuff, because it lets us get used to running on like an actual cross country course.
Do you remember any of your favorite workouts from Star Farm?
We did the one I remember most is the mile reps we did there.
Yeah. What do you remember about that workout? Maybe Holden, if you can fill in some of the pieces too, and you guys can kind of tell us about that workout.
I just remember it was a good workout. I remember one day you showed up with the clock and the timing mat, the whole shebang. So we put on our spikes and we just got some fast miles in there on the loop.
Do you remember what your fastest mile that day what might have been?
Yeah, I remember that workout in kind of a good detail. Ben, I think we both hit like low 450s on the last mile.
Okay.
Aiden hit like 433 or something like that. Declan hit like 439. That was the workout where I really started to believe that we had a good shot as a team to do something special, because after, it was a 4 by mile workout with hill sprints at the end. After 3 hard miles already, for Aiden and Declan to go out and run as fast as they did, and for Ben and I to be not that far behind, that was a great workout, and I think that showed it.
Definitely. That was one of our marker workouts on the year. Guys before you had run it. Remember, we had compared I'd shown you what Sewell and Shimon and Isaac had run the year before. And you knew that going in, and a little extra motivation to maybe push a little bit harder on some of those reps. And that was a big one. Another big one later in the season, just about a week out from districts, we did the 3x2000 meter workout. Do you remember that one?
I vaguely remember it. Like, I couldn't tell you splits or anything, but
what do you, Holden, think that the importance of being able to run these hard workouts at a place that mimics kind of a cross-country course, and you're running pretty close or faster than 5K race pace for those? Why do you think that's important for your training?
It kind of tries to simulate taking the stress out of a race, because if you know that you can run the paces of a race at the location of a race and you've done it before, you can fall back on that training and that mental strength in the middle of a race. I think that really helped.
That's a great point. I think anytime that you can create confidence in a workout that you can handle a pace in the race, that's going to make you successful. Let's take it then to racing. When was the first invitational or meet?
Honestly, I think it goes all the way back to Carlisle. I think that was our first real big race of the season where we all showed up big.
And Carlisle, we won the Carlisle Invitational. We had a pretty good day. Do you remember anything specific about the Carlisle invite? Besides that there weren't huge puddles this year.
Yeah, I was just about to say it was hot and not wet, which was nice. I also remember all 4 of us, and I think Caitlin was there too. All 5 of us were in the top 40 for the entire race. We got to the front and we stayed there.
How important was Kaylin's performance that day? Because that was really, for him, probably even a bigger jump in performance than any of our other guys. And we all know how important a 5th is. But for you guys to see Kaylin not too far behind, what kind of confidence did that create for you?
That created a lot of confidence, because we saw that if we could just close that gap a little bit more, we were in really good shape the championship season.
A lot of teams deal with the dual meet season like we do. And we have been fortunate in the Chessmont to have some coaches that are willing to kind of switch things up, do things a little bit differently. What were some of the ways that we utilized the dual meet season so that it was a positive instead of a negative?
I remember each time we were supposed to have a home meet at
Springton.
Yeah. Each time we were supposed to have a home meet versus Shanahan and Coatesville, we ended up turning it into a workout. The one against Coatesville was a 5K at not quite 5K pace, but it was just a straight 5K workout, while Shanahan got turned into a 2-mile loop.
With some hills in the middle too, right? It was so hot that day. Okay, let's go to the district meet. Now, we went to Manhattan. Let's go to actually Manhattan first and talk about our day at Manhattan, a challenging course. Maybe walk us through that race. What does that look like? Ben, you've run this Manhattan 3 of the 4 years or all 4 years?
3 of the 4 years. I didn't go freshman year. It's a very fast start because of that bottleneck. So for most people, it means getting off the line really fast and finding a good position. And then you gotta still roll through those. There's a lot of hills hidden back there in the woods. And then it is a shorter race. It's only 4K. That plays a role too.
And going over that bridge, and then you're kind of out there in the hills. How easy is it to pass guys? Is it, is there room back there?
For most people, it's pretty hard to pass guys. I was able to move up every year I went there, but that's because I fit through gaps that a lot of guys don't. I remember not this past season, but 2 years ago, I was behind Kevin Wagner in the woods, and like I would see a gap and like Kevin wouldn't be moving towards it, and I'd have to like kind of like push him in the back, like go, like get through this gap, because like if you're buried once you get into the woods back there, you're not going to be able to make it back up. You're going to have a really tough time just pushing through kids.
Absolutely. Now at Manhattan, we ended up just losing by a small margin to LaSalle. And do you remember thinking back to that time, did you think we would be able to make up that gap by the end of the season? How were you feeling at that time?
I did. I definitely thought we could, because we had a couple things looking up for us. I mean, first off, I don't think we all had great races at Manhattan. I think there was definitely room for us to improve. And then you also have to take into account that it was only a 4K race. And for me, I know definitely, at least for me, I'd catch a lot of people in that last K of the 5K. So I thought like a longer, like an actual 5K race, we would have more of an advantage. We were also really close to CBA at Manhattan. And that was when I saw that also gave me a lot of confidence. I was like, because I didn't expect to be so close to CBA. That was when I saw that we could actually go somewhere in the postseason.
Holden, what do you remember from the Manhattan invite?
So I had a terrible race in Manhattan. I kind of spooked myself on the line because, as Ben said, it goes from a very wide start to a very narrow bottleneck. And I kind of scared myself on the line, thinking I wouldn't be able to get like good position in the woods if I didn't get to the bottleneck first. So I went out way too hard, and I kind of started paying the price for it once we crossed the bridge and got into the hills, got into like the bulk of the hills. And I just had to fight for position at that point. And I messed that one up.
You can learn something from every race, and learning how to deal with those nerves on the line. That's part of the reason you go to a Manhattan, right? Is to learn how to deal with the pressure so that when you get to states, you're ready for that.
Right.
Let's move then into the district meet. We get to the district meet, and walk me through maybe the feelings leading into the district meet and where you guys thought we were.
Well, I think we knew that we were we didn't know, but we were pretty confident about coming out on top in District 1. So we were looking to run some fast times out there, given that the course was known to be so fast. It's where we usually PR at the end of the season there. So we were all just ready to run some fast times. There were some concerns. I know Unionville was looking pretty good. I think we were pretty confident at that point that we were going to take the District 1 title.
Did you start to have a little rivalry between the two of you guys at that point?
We've been doing it all season. Always like the last like 100, 200 meters too is Holden would always go out and get positioning, and I'd make my way up to him during the race. And then the last 100 would just be a sprint battle.
Every single race I would hear like the West parents cheering him, like, go Holden, go Ben. And it would be like time in between. Then the further into the race that we got, it was closer and closer between until people could start combining the cheers for me and Ben. And then like he passed me at races like at Carlisle. And I was like, oh, well, that sucks. That's unfortunate.
I think you got me at districts though, right? I think you got me at districts.
Barely, I think.
It's always by like a couple of steps. I'm just glad I won. Glad I got it at states.
And Ben, what's your mile PR?
441 still.
Just because we didn't have that outdoor season, right?
Yeah.
And Holden, what's your mile PR?
423.
And so it's come down to a kick.
But he's gassed at the end, so.
Yeah. Districts, the girls also were able to pull off the win at districts this year. By a lot of people considered an upset. How did that add to maybe the overall feeling of the day?
I mean, like, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I thought West won all 4 races because I think our unseeded boys won and I think our unseeded girls won too.
That's correct. Right.
It was a great feeling hearing from my parents that it happened and then walking away from Lehigh as West winning all 4 events. And the fact that girls were coming to states with us during a year that we thought was going to be special was really cool because we obviously hoped that they did as well as we did, but we were including them in what was going to happen, which is cool.
And Ben, your sister's on the team and she was she was a scorer on the JV winning team. So how did that feel being able to celebrate?
It's cool when the whole family, whole team gets to celebrate. I mean, it's not common for a team to like completely sweep the district meet like that. So it's pretty special to have the whole team win.
Going into the state meet, who would you say were the favorites? Who were the teams that were kind of on our radar or on the state scene?
I think LaSalle and North Allegheny, as they had been for the last couple of years, were the 2 teams that we really had to look out for. LaSalle, obviously, their pack is incredible. And North Allegheny, they had a really strong low stick in McGooey. But then they also had a really nice, really good number 2 guy in Barack Asher. I was kind of like a mile split addict at that point. So I was watching their races and I was like, oh, both these teams are serious threats to us.
Knowing that those other teams were so deep and so talented, did you focus on that? Were you able to kind of push that out of your head? Are you friends with those guys? What does that look like?
I personally don't know any of those guys. I think one of the LaSalle kids follows Aiden on Strava, but that's as close as we've gotten. I largely try to put it out of my head until like the night before the race, and then I remembered everything.
We've been battling over states for like the past 3 years. It's North Allegheny is fine. I talked to McGoey after states. He congratulated us all.
It goes without saying that there's a respect between these 3 clubs the last couple of years as these are the 3 clubs that have probably been at the top consistently over the last 5 years or whatnot. The race at States was very different because they had to change the course the day before, and there was some water on the lower parts. What we saw was LaSalle go out and take a very aggressive lead in the first mile. As you were running the race, were you aware of that lead? Did you have any idea, or were you just kind of like, just got to keep going?
I was aware of the lead because at the line I saw Vincent Twomey from LaSalle. I saw him sprint out and get to the front of the pack, and then at the Aloha Hills, I saw him in front of me, and I realized like at that moment, wow, LaSalle really took a huge lead going into this, and it's up to us to try to shorten that lead. Seeing him helped me mentally. Yeah. And
Ben, how going at the Aloha Hills in 2 miles, the tide starts to turn a little bit. What do you attribute to being able to move up, being able to continue to push in that last 1 to 2K and bring home the victory?
As I had done all season and all throughout my career, really, I don't get off the line fast. I usually start buried and then I work my way up. So I actually, during that race, I passed, like I could see, I started out behind all 7 of the LaSalle guys. I just kept passing them. So I got to see like where we were at, because I was passing not just our guys, but also LaSalle guys. So I got to see like where we were and where they were. So I remember like through the Aloha Hills, trying to bring Kaylin with me. And I remember that was when, right after those hills, Kaylin and I caught like a big group of those LaSalle guys. So that's when we caught like the bulk of them, and then saw a couple more towards the finish there with Holden.
Maybe walk us through this finish with Holden, because it's a pretty tight finish. What happens? At what point in the race do you catch Holden?
So this one, this was actually one of the later ones. I actually didn't catch up with Holden until like 100 meters. There was a part like 2.5 miles in, I thought like, well, maybe I'm not going to catch up to him. Like, I'm just not seeing him out here. I remember I caught up to Holden. It wasn't so much that, like, of course I wanted to beat him, but I didn't know that we were one spot away from medal territory. So like, I had no idea that those were the stakes, but I did know it was in that straightaway. It was pretty open. There was like a gap. So it was just like Holden, me, and there was one LaSalle kid there. I was just sprinting really hard because I'm like, well, we got to beat this LaSalle kid here or else they could win. And if they win by like 1 point, then that's going to suck.
I mean, Ben ran a better race than I did. I kind of ran out of gas in the last mile, and it was just me trying to hold on and make it to the finish line. I did see that LaSalle kid that Ben mentioned, and I was trying everything I could to pass him. I don't know if I did or not, and then I see Ben coming up, on my side. He passes me and he crosses in front of me, and he ran a great race, and he got the 25th medal in the state.
A big one. Hopefully, you've got one more opportunity, Holden, and with the way things have been going with your training, I'm thinking you're putting yourself in a good position to earn one next year.
I'm not thrilled that I got beaten, but if I had to get beaten by anybody, I'm glad it was Ben, and I'm glad that he got that medal to end his senior year.
Let's fast forward to the regional meet. The team finishes third, not far behind CBA, LaSalle Academy from Rhode Island. Talk to me about that. Maybe tell me the story about what happens there.
Going into it, we still had to be wary of, CBA obviously, but we knew we were pretty close, so we thought we might be able to pull off a bit of an upset there and beat them. But we also had to keep LaSalle on the radar as well, because they, like you said, they went out hard at states and they kind of got burnt out a little bit and dropped back. But maybe at regionals they wouldn't do that. Maybe they would race stronger and they would be a threat. So we had to really race well out there. And I think the course plays to our advantage because it just goes straight uphill for like half a mile, or half the race, sorry, not half a mile. And then the other half is just straight back down. I remember I actually I caught up to Declan at the top of the hill there halfway to the race, which was new to me because that didn't happen all season. I usually didn't see Declan during the race, so that was big. And then I just battled with CBA kids for the rest of the race.
We're waiting for the award ceremony. And what is that anxiety, or what is that nervousness waiting for them to announce the awards feel like?
It was so overwhelming because we knew we were going to be close with CBA. I think LaSalle had many guys in the top 10.
Yeah.
It wasn't going to be as close of a race between us and LaSalle of Rhode Island as we would have wanted. But we knew that we were still in the running for that automatic number 2 spot with CBA. We just didn't know how close we were to them. So then when the announcement comes and when we hear that CBA got second, I remember thinking, okay, that's kind of unfortunate, but we still had a really good race and we're still in a really good position for what comes next.
And so, they announced those at-large bids at midnight, and unfortunately, we didn't get the at-large bid. And talk to me about maybe how the emotions you might have gone through finding that out.
Yeah, that wasn't too fun.
It was like disbelief and a little bit of anger mixed in there.
Do you feel like you deserved or belonged out there in Portland?
I don't think we deserved anything. I don't think that's like the right way to think about it. I thought at the time, and I still think now, that we earned that spot with our races and with our season.
I know the one at-large bid they took from Texas. I don't remember what the team name was. I remember they went and they got dead last at NXN, but we were only 19 points behind CBA, who was like in the top 20, top 15 even, which probably would have placed us like somewhere like in the teens. So I think we definitely could have gone and been competitive there.
Now, Holden, Ben graduates. We lose a big piece of the puzzle there. We lose Kalen Sims, Ryan Straub, Jack Capello. So we're losing 4 of our top 7. We have the development of Henry Dubuque, who has been having a tremendous indoor season and into this kind of lull training period, whatever you want to call it. Who else do you see maybe stepping up and being that 5th, 6th, 7th guy?
I mean, this is going to be a great summer because we're going to see who really wants to earn that spot. We have a lot of talented runners who are in the running for that position. Like, we have that loaded class of what are now sophomores, but next year going to be juniors with Jack Harper, Tim Millich, Dev. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Joe Carey, all those guys. Then we also have guys who are going to be seniors next year, like Zach Yaros, Nick Piergiovanni. If they can step up, we can have a great team.
Ben, what do you think? Anybody else that you want to say might be the next guy up?
I'm thinking you also got to keep an eye on young Sims there, Chase Sims.
Yeah.
He had a great freshman year. So yeah, to see if he keeps improving well, he might snag a spot on that varsity team.
For sure. If he doesn't get injured at the White Clay Classic, who knows how his freshman year would have ended up. Let's talk a little bit about culture and what that culture looks like for Downingtown West. I asked you guys to define culture, and Holden, you said that a shared belief that we're the best team at any given meet. Can you expand on that concept a little bit, and maybe how does that look, or how does that translate into practices?
So a lot of that stems from last summer, at least for me, because last summer was when I really started to believe that we were among the state's best. A lot of it is the summer practices that we have are technically optional, but as anybody who's been around Coach Burns for a while knows, optional is not optional. Those summer practices, like getting up at 6:45 or earlier for the coaching staff and for people who live farther away, and then going out somewhere to run 10 miles, most of which are hilly and can be a workout on any given day. Doing that in the summer, sacrificing a lot of your summer vacation to try to focus on running is really indicative of somebody who's disciplined. And we've built so much discipline with our program that we're starting to see results. And as we see results, we can focus on what we want to get out of them.
Ben, again, you've been a 4-year varsity runner, well aware of the style of community that we have here. What are some of the elements you feel are essential to Downingtown West?
Well, we've got a really close team. I think a lot of that just comes from, a lot of it is the summer endurance program, us all being out there with each other every day, every morning. The pasta dinners also play a role because that gets the whole team, it gets everyone together, involved, makes us feel like more of a team. It's just all those factors that just contribute to us being a really close group of runners. I think that helps us work better together.
Do you feel that, as a coach, we have Coach Jussick runs with the girls, Coach Schmidt runs with our development JV. I run a lot with the varsity boys. Do you think that plays a role in how we train or the culture that we have?
I mean, it definitely helps. It definitely helps each coach because you don't have to worry about running with every group. It helps. It helps to have more coaches. It gets more people involved. It's hard to say like exactly, but it helps us like.
Holden, maybe talk about some of the weekly things that we do as a program that stand out to you.
We usually have a system of recognitions where the coaches the coaches will recognize who they thought had a good race. Then they'll open the platform up for anybody from the team to commend anybody who they thought had a good race. I think that really works well I don't want to say it like it incentivizes you to race well, but it really helps place an emphasis on people paying attention to how others race, as well as, it brings the team closer together. Because if we celebrate in one person's victory, that helps make a stronger connection.
Ben, maybe talk about how the relationships on the team develop as a senior and how you reach out and help to guide some of our younger athletes that are maybe now under the radar, but in a year or two might be state medalists.
Well, it really helps that we have such a large team, and we have a lot of kids coming to practice every day. So it lets the varsity guys like us, it lets us interact with like the younger guys who may be under the radar now, but like maybe in a couple of years they'll be also leading that varsity team. So it helps having everyone at these team events and practices. It helps us connect with each other.
Your future plans, Ben, you chose Appalachian State. Why did you choose to go there?
Well, a lot of it was academic, based on the academic program. I also wanted to compete in college, and it's a Division I team, so it'll be fun to compete at the Division I level there. Coach is great. Team seems good so far. So
let's start with Holden and give us your top 3 high school running memories.
Well, number one, of course, has to be finding out that we won states. Like I was coming back from a porta potty and I was passing some of the girls on our team, and they said, did you hear? You guys just won. And I remember going crazy and sprinting back to the tent. So that was by far the coolest moment of my running career. Honestly, number 2 would probably be like PRing in a race. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but anytime you PR in a race, it feels rewarding. It feels like you worked for a goal and you get to reap the benefits of it.
How about when you ran 4:23 indoors?
Yeah, that felt pretty good. The highlight of that day was coming back in the 4x8 though, and helping the guys qualify for states. Honestly, like seeing Ben go to Appalachian State for running partially, that's really cool, because it's seeing a guy who you've known for a while start to enjoy some success at the secondary level. And that's really cool to see.
That's a really good one. Ben, okay. So top 3 high school running memories for you.
Well, obviously number 1 is winning states with the guys. That was really cool to do. I'd say, a lot of them are from this past season because it was such a great season. I'd say number 2 was honestly probably, I had a lot of fun at Manhattan with the guys. I thought I liked our performance at Manhattan. That was a good memory. And then I think for number 3, I'm going to take it all the way back to freshman year Carlisle with Jack Capello and the freshman boys race there. That was a lot of fun to win with the freshman guys.
Yeah, that you and Jack had a lot of battles throughout your career. He holds the upper hand on a couple of the shorter races, and you've got the state medal in cross country. Holden, I want to ask you to give me maybe 1 or 2 of your influences or people that have kind of led the way for you or paved the way for you in running.
Number 1, well, one of the biggest ones would definitely be Coach Schmidt. My grad project is helping him coach the CYO kids that he coaches in both cross country and track. And I've really learned a lot more about the sport from him. But I've also learned, more valuable lessons, like how to deal with an unruly toddler and how to get a kid to stop talking about Fortnite. I've also learned a lot from guys like Kevin Long. He really helped me learn more about, being more of a mid-distance guy, because a lot of our seniors focus more on stuff like the 5K and the 10K, and Ben is more of a 3,200 runner than I am. So hearing tips from Kevin, who's going to Appalachian State, but he's running the 800 and the 16 in college. It was really helpful.
Good. And Ben, how about you? 2 people that have influenced you along the way.
Person, I was just going to say like the upperclassmen. Well, obviously, Coach, you've influenced me quite a bit, being the coach for all 4 years, training under you. Also, another influence, Sean Bullock was quite an influential character my freshman year. He was almost like another coach.
He was. He was the best at attendance.
Yeah, he kept his own attendance.
All right, and the final thing that we want to close out with is one piece of advice you'd have for an incoming freshman boy, just maybe starting cross country for the first time.
Be patient in races. I'm not, and it hurts me later. Just be patient and wait.
Ben, what about you?
I'd say just put the work in, make sure you do all the little things, and enjoy it, because it goes by fast.
It certainly does. All right, guys. Well, I want to thank you for joining me here on the podcast. I think this is going to be a really good one. You did a nice job, and hopefully we'll be out training together again soon.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.